Hello. Let me check to make sure that I'm in the right place. As always, tell ya. Okay. All right. I am live. So how is everyone? Welcome to my craft room. My name is Terry Phelps and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Minnesota in the USA. And welcome to my craft room. So tonight I brought out my pastels because it's like I have them and I forget I have them and I don't use them. So this is really last minute. I was going to do something totally different tonight, but I changed my mind at the last minute. So I just kind of threw together a card. And so I based it on a card I made a while back. So let me go down to my desktop here. So this one I made a while back. So this is using, it's a retired, probably stamp set and embossing folder. But it's kind of what I just designed this card tonight off of. So the card that we're going to make tonight is very similar, and I used the pastels to do my coloring and inking of my embossing folder. So that's what we're going to make tonight. And so why don't I get started? The stamp set that I'm using is on page 118, and it's called Penciled Pear. And I love this stamp set because this actually reminds me of when I began stamping back in the 80s. And this was the type of stamps and the look that was very popular back then. And so I was really excited to see this stamp set because I really, really, really like it. And then also, we're using water painters tonight. And if you don't know what those are, they come with 3 brushes and they all have different size brushes on them. So they're pretty cool. One is a very wide brush, and then the other 2 are round. I think they're just different sizes. One's a little fuller than the other. So that's what we're going to use tonight for our coloring. And those you can find on the same page, 118. And then the soft pastels. Now you can find those on the bottom of the same page. And so the way I store my pastels is I found this case. It's a pencil case that I got from, I think, maybe Michael's. I'm not sure. And it fit our pastels box perfectly. So that's what I keep them in so that they don't get crushed. And I don't know what I did with the lid. But the colors, they're just general. It's called soft pastels, and they don't really have the same names, color names as our actual color families. So just so you know that, there is a pastel that is being retired. I believe it's in clearance, so it's only for like $3.60 if I remember right. And this actually might be that set. And then there's a new set out there that's very similar in the colors. So just so you're aware of that, the colors that I'm going to use tonight are 2 yellows and a green. And all right, so I'll go down to my desktop here. All right, so let's start making our card. This is just a basic card base. So I'm going to cut my white paper at 5.5. And then I'm going to score that at 4.25. So that's just our normal base. And then I need to emboss a 3 1/8 by 5.5 panel. So this is already 5.5. So I'm just going to cut my panel. So that's 3 3/8. So that's 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's my piece that we're going to emboss. And then I need some green, so I'm going to cut, I need 2 strips that are 1 inch by 5.5. So I'm just going to cut this again in half. And then I'm going to cut them in 1 inch strips. So I need 2 of those. Oops. And you actually could just do a full panel behind this, but just to save paper, I'm just going to use 1 inch strips on each side. And then for my sentiment piece, this one, I'm going to do 1 inch by 4 3/4. So I'm going to I'm going to do my 1 inch. Do 4 3/4. So this is again a very simple card because, like I said, I changed my mind at the last minute. And yeah, so super simple. That does not look right. Did I not do that at 4 3/4? I did not. I did it at 3 3/4. All right, so let's drag this back out. So this is the 5.5. So I'm going to do an inch. I always cut something wrong, don't I? Every week. There's 1 inch, and I want to do 4 3/4. All right, that looks better. Alrighty. All right, so let's do our stamping. So for this, we're going to use Stays On ink. And Stays On is it's good for every surface, and it's a solvent ink pad. So it's waterproof so that you can use. And you'll see that there's a plastic cover. And so what I did was I put dimensionals behind it so that it would stay attached to the pad top. That way I wasn't losing it, and it just saved a step when I was sealing the stamp pad. And you'll notice that, you know, I've had this pad for a very long time, and it's very kind of strong smelling. So it's a little different, and it does say on the instructions that you should have some ventilation. So that just tells you it really is a little different type of an ink. I'm just going to ink that up pretty well. And I'm going to put that just about the center, a little higher up than center. I'm going to just kind of line this up here. All right. Get a good impression. Whoa, that's sticky. All right, so I'm going to cover that up. I don't think I need any more of this type of ink. And then again, of course, you want to store your ink pads upside down because these are just regular ink pads, okay? So that keeps the ink at the top of the pad. All right, so now we have this. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to use my chalk and I'm going to make a little color palette. So to do that, I'm going to just take each color and I'm just going to color. That's going to leave some ink or some chalk. All right. This reminds me of our crushed curry color. That almost looks like Daffodil Delight. And there is actually a second green. I thought it was actually gray, but it is a green. And I kind of thought maybe I could add that to the colors too as well. Grab it out. To me, that looked gray, but it's actually a green. Add a little bit of that. All right. So I have water in my aqua brush or water painter, and so I'm going to, and this is not quite dry yet, but it is waterproof, so I'm just going to fan it a little bit. Okay. And I'm just going to start with my, I think, lightest color first. Just going to pick up some of that color. Can you see that? All right. I grab some more for that. And then you could also use watercolor paper. I just chose to use regular cardstock. And I'm just going to put just a drop of water down here. And I'm just going to pick up some of that color. And spread that around. Okay, spread the love here. And you can use, of course, the more water you use, the more like diluted it will become. It will also, like your paper will also kind of pucker and stuff a little bit more if you're using a lot of water. So I kind of watch how much water I'm actually soaking up here. I mean, when the water causes the paper to you know, pucker, it kind of gives it another dimension, so it's not too bad. You just don't want it to be saturated. I'm going to make this one a little greener. Let's see what that does. think I'm going to add a little bit more of my green. Sorry, it's probably kind of loud, huh? But I like how it gives it a natural kind of look. You know how fruit and stuff, it all varies, right? So when you're adding colors like this as a watercolor, they blend so nicely naturally. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit of green to my stems here. Add a little yellow more. So you just play with it until you get the colors you like, right? There is no right or wrong. Okay, so what do you think? Looks pretty neat, huh? I think it's a fun way to color. I think I'm going to add some more color to the edge here. All right. And after doing this, I thought, you know, I thought the stamps might have been a little bit bigger. And then, like I said, I just did this totally like on the fly. So, all right. So I think we're done coloring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through the embossing folder. And I'll show you. This is the stamp set close up. And I like the sentiments. Thanks for being you. It's your day. And just a little note. And the peach is actually, or the pear is pretty good size. Okay. And then the embossing folder that I'm using is the Distress Tile. And that's a 3D folder. And I've always loved this folder. It's just like one of my favorites. And I thought with the pear and the way the drawing is on this, I feel like it felt like Italian tiles or something. So that's kind of why I chose this particular folder. Alrighty, so let's take and move that up here. We're going to lay this on here. And I'm just going to kind of lay it straight so that the pattern is pretty easy, even. Okay. I'm going to put this up here. So because this is a 3D embossing folder, your sandwich would be just your base. And then you're going to use plate number 4. And the instructions do say that, so it's very easy to know which how to make your sandwich. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to stick this in here and just let it go through. And you, of course, want the, what would it be? The binded, or the, this part to go through first. Otherwise, you could damage your folder. And so, oops, I don't like, okay. All right. So we will use that. Get this out of here. All right, so let's take our base. And I'm going to do my crease here with my bone folder, make sure it's nice and crisp. And in an afterthought, I should have just stamped something on here to give that a little bit more of a design, but that's okay. This is like a nice, like clean card, right? All right, so I'm going to take my 2 longer strips and let's see, I cut them this way. And I'm just going to kind of line up my card base on my grid. And then I'm going to attach these about, say, a 1/4 inch on each side. Now you could use liquid glue so that you got some wiggle room. But I'm just going to use okay. So again, I'm just going to line this up. And a lot of times I just, you know, eyeball it myself. I just kind of, but if the grid's here, why not use it, right? All right, so it doesn't matter really where I line it up, just so that it's even. Oops. All right, so we've got our panel. And then now what I'm going to do with the chalk is I'm going to take, and I'm just going to lightly go across. Uh-oh, did I freeze? Sorry. So I'm going to take my chalk and I'm going to lightly go across the top. And that's just going to add some nice dimension to this. Okay. So I did this one a little harder than I did the other one. And to make sure that this kind of, the chalk doesn't like rub off, I'm going to take a paper towel that's a little damp. I gotta find out what I did with that. Let's see. Just a second. I'm gonna look for that real quick. All right, I'm just going to just kind of go over this just a little bit. There we go. All right, so I'm going to take and these look a little washed out now because I did so much with the yellow. I think I'm gonna do a little more green here. Yeah, I like that better. Right. There we go. I think that looks a little bit better, a little more natural. Alrighty, so we're going to pop this up on dimensionals. And again, I just kept this card pretty basic, but I just basically wanted to show the technique of using pastels. Don't be afraid to try new things, and it really is kind of a fun, relaxing way to color too. And I'm going to put a lot of dimensionals on here because it does pucker because of being wet a little bit and because of the embossing folders. So I want it to be fairly even when it's on the card. Alrighty. Ah, we had absolutely beautiful day today in Minnesota. It's like, oh my gosh, it just couldn't have gotten any better. Alrighty. Let's put that about. All right. So now I'm going to use our little strip here. Now I don't have to use the Stays On. I'm just going to use regular Memento ink. And so we're going to say just a little note. Sorry, that's kind of loud. And I'm a tapper. I feel like I have more control of the ink when I do my stamping that way. And then we're just going to put it off to the side a little. All right. And then I'm going to use my punch here. So this, you can do 3 different sizes in your little banners, and you have 2 different designs. You have one that's like almost like a movie ticket runner. I don't know if you can see that very well. And then you have one that's just small little scallops. So those are pretty cool. So this is nice because you can get a variety of labels, right? So I'm going to do the scalloped one, I think. And I always put it upside down like this so that I can see when I'm cutting that it's in properly. And it's just going to take off that little end to make that finished edge. All right. I think I crumpled it. All right, just gives it dimension, right? So I'm going to just take and tack that down because I don't want this to get too high in the envelope when if you were mailing this. I already have the background up on dimensionals, so I just want to keep this low. Also, this is kind of serving as kind of not really a table, but that kind of a feel, right? It's something that the pears are sitting on, so kind of. We got one up in the air here a little. All right. So then we're just going to decorate. Now these are in the online store. They're on that you can find. They are called Adhesive Back Shiny Sequins, and I love these colors. I end up using these all the time. So I'm just going to kind of randomly, it seemed to have the right colors, right? So I'm just going to kind of randomly put them around on the label here. And when you place your rhinestones, it's kind of a great idea to do them in triangles. It's more pleasing to the eye. So in this card, because I had such a long like label here, I decided to do like 3 triangles, or 2 triangles, sorry. I don't even know what a triangle is apparently. And then we're just going to just randomly put these down. And there we have it. So it's a simple card, but I just wanted to show the technique of using, your pastels. So each card will always look different, because it all just depends on how much color you pick up and how much you use, and that kind of a thing. So it's always fun because each card would be unique, right? So I hope you like that. Yeah, so this was just kind of a quick last minute. I totally have had just a crazy week. So, and I changed my mind because I did not have everything that I wanted to use to do the demonstration I wanted to do. So, but don't forget about pastels. Don't be afraid to use them. And I'd love to see what you create. And with that, I hope you have a great night and a great week coming up. And geez, is it July next week? Oh my gosh. Is it really? It is, isn't it? Holy moly. All right, well, have a fantastic weekend. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know. And I will see you soon. All right, take care.